All righty. So we are live. So super excited. We're gonna go ahead and jump into it. It's a nice episode of Truth Be Told featuring Mr. DJ, Darrin Mitchell, owner of BTBY. I'm super excited to have you on tonight to talk to you. I've been wanting to get you on here to talk to you about your story. So first of all, welcome and thank you. Um, I heard about you back in I think 2022. I first heard about you through Anna. And I know that you all did a little sit down interview, I think outside. I listened to the interview. I thought it was really cool. And it's funny because like each year for the mental health event that me and Cam was hosting, I've actually wanted you to come and be a part of it from the physical aspect side of it because I've always been interested when it comes down to the mental health tea party, tying in the different aspects of who we are as a whole, whether that's the physical side, the financial side. It was actually good last year because we had somebody come in this year and do a financial side too, and how, you know, that mindset ties into your finances. So again, welcome DJ. I'm super excited to have you here tonight. You can go ahead and introduce yourself as well and say hey to the people. We are live on Facebook, as well as if anybody wants to join in on Zoom and be on Zoom live with us as well, you can do that as well. Drop your comments in the chat, and we'll be happy to have you all along with us. So DJ, go ahead and introduce yourself.
First off, I want to say thank you for having me. It's definitely an honor. And I appreciate you for doing what you're doing. And yeah, my name is DJ or Darrin Mitchell Jr. Most know me as DJ. I'm a founder of BTBY and BTBY Way of Life. And yeah, I'm just a health advocate, mental, physical, spiritual, whatever to help people to be the best version of themselves in that aspect. So I'm excited to be a part.
I am super excited as well. So, like I said, when I first found out about you and I was listening to your interview with Anna, I just liked it. I like how, you know, just a whole sit down conversation was talking about fitness, talking about wellness. And also, even in the last couple of months, you know, following you and Erica's live talk, just listening in on some of the things that you all have talked about. I think one thing that I heard you say on one of your podcasts with her was although although you have been having BTBY for the last several years, it was a trip to Hawaii that kind of made you well rounded in your mission and your spirituality as far as where you are. So before we get to that, take me back to younger DJ. What was life like for you as younger DJ?
Well, my mother had 4 kids. I'm one of four. And so I was raised in a single parent household. My two older sisters raised me, um, and grew up playing sports. I was a sports guy. I played basketball. Started out playing football. And, just on the journey of trying to be a pro athlete, just, you know, uh, has always been my life and who I was. But as a kid, I always questioned everything in life. And that's what led me on this path today. So, everything was, in a sense, a full circle moment and still circling. But I was actually always wear this smile. I always had a smile. I always questioned, I always talked too much in a sense. But at the same time, I just question everything. That's my thing. I still question everything to this day. Yeah. So that's what kind of led me.
I think the inquisitive side is, where does that come from? Is it just the seeking of the answers, or, you know, wanting to be filled with new ideas, new knowledge, and all of those things? Like, where do you think that inquisitive side comes from?
I feel like, especially now, it's my purpose. It's like I know we design and we here all for a purpose. And it's like, as a kid, like if you look at kids right now, like, it's that's what it's about, being a kid, questioning everything, being humble, just always being curious of life. And, especially in this space that I am now and the things that I have experienced, it's just being able to uh, live my purpose and do what I'm supposed to do. And I can see it in full effect. And, like I said, we all have a purpose. Just being in your purpose, knowing what you're supposed to do before we get out of here. And we know that this lifetime don't last that long. So, just doing what you got to do to complete your purpose and, passing on through. Yeah.
Tell me, when it comes down to being a curious or inquisitive person, because I am as well, I just love knowledge. I love learning and I like knowing about stuff at a deeper level, because everybody can get the superficial part of somebody, but I always like to be the exception. Like, I want to know something deeper. Like, I want to be set apart from how somebody else know you. So if that's listening to you a little deeper than what everybody else does, then though that's the type of thing that I like to do. But also, being the type of person that questions everything, it can kind of put you in a box because when you come up in certain situations and generations, wanting to know and have answers to everything kind of irritates certain people.
Yeah.
So, did you ever run into those type of situations coming up when you're like, look, I want to know, I want to know, I want to know, and like, look, go sit down. Don't ask me that. How was that for you and getting those answers with growing up as an inquisitive person?
Yeah, so when I was growing up, those were the things I got a lot, as far as talking too much, don't ask grown folks questions, things like that. But as I look back now, it just people just don't know. And, you know, just through the years, I me and my mother relationship has grown a lot. But, just getting to know my mother, know how she was raised and how she grew up, it helped me to understand why she didn't know, and I realize and see it, like a lot of people are surviving. It's not really, you don't have time to really question everything. You just gotta go to day to day to day to day. So you don't, have time to think about these things. And so when I was growing up, I got that a lot. Stop asking questions. Don't ask this. Of course you can't talk back. All those things raised in the South and things like that. But, I just still kept that motto. And on the other country side, my dad has always been in my life, and he's one of those guys that I'm not gonna say he just let me express myself a lot more. So my mom and dad didn't grow up they wasn't together, but I stayed with my dad on the weekend, so I got to experience a whole different reality with my dad. And so that's what helped me, I guess, to keep that balance, to stay a kid and continue to question everything.
I like that. I kind of met the same type of things as far as like talking too much and want to know things, but I think like you with questioning everything, I didn't like being met with rejection of being answered, So it would kind of make me feel a certain type of way, feel sad. So when I was coming up, I did a lot of crying because I felt like I couldn't be vocal. So it would make me internalize it, and internalize it made me sad.
Right.
It made me feel like I wasn't deserving of those answers, deserving of those truths. And that kind of created something in me as far as in my adulthood. So for you, um, getting those answers or not getting those answers to all those questions as a curious child, did it shape who you are as a man today?
Yeah, a lot of our pain and trauma, it helps and shape us a positive or a negative way. And at first it was a negative way, and then eventually turned into a positive, to the positivity, to the positive side. But yeah, I would definitely say it affected me a lot. And just like I said, just looking back now and being able to see the dynamic of my family, how just me questioning everything has affected my family in a positive way. Just being able to seek the answers, and I know whether you get the answer from people or not, like, God is going to give you the answer. The answer is going to be revealed. You just continue to seek, and I've been gifted with, so many different beautiful souls in my life. And whether my mother was able to cover that role or my father was able to cover that role, or if they wasn't, I was gifted with some type of role that I needed or some type of answer that I needed. So, it taught me to, and know that the truth will always come, if you just continue to seek and you continue to knock and you continue to
Mhm.
ask, it'll come.
Mhm. And what would you say to people, like you were saying, for the things that my mother didn't know, you were blessed to have people in your life that did know, that were able to guide you. You know how sometimes in life we'll get stuck in a place searching for things from someone in particular or some particular setting until we'll overlook the fact that we're getting it, but we might not be getting it from the place that we were requiring it from or we were requesting it from. How does that, because it took me a while to kind of like sit with it, to really realize that, you know what, I might have been felt neglected in this situation, but there was a replacement there. There was someone there that was a replacement of what I was missing in this area. They were teaching me that in this area. And I guess in the moment, I didn't realize that what was going on because I was too consumed with it not coming from over here. But can you speak on the appreciation of, even though it wasn't coming from where you wanted it from, you appreciate the fact that you received it anyways?
Yeah, creating these are these people coming to me, it was such a beautiful thing because, it was a time in my life where my mother was very hurt. And it was a time in my life, being as a kid and raised in the environment that I was raised in, the first thing you say is, I won't raise my kids like this, or I won't do this to my kids. And, God showed me a different way as far as somebody else living another life. Or if I continue to neglect my mother, what she done to me, I'm gonna fall in that same pattern. So, it just showed me that whoever you need or whatever you need in your life will always be there. And it doesn't, I feel like my mother is my mother this lifetime. It just one of those things where, it was something that I was supposed to either teach her or also something that I was supposed to grow through and heal the next generation coming in. And if I hold that to her or my father, I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna fall in the same cycle, and so just seeing what I seen and being open to grow regardless of if she's gonna be there or my father's gonna be there, it helped me to, and it actually helped them to grow as well. So it just for me, it was just about letting go and not holding on to what somebody didn't do and what somebody else did do, and it just also taught me to, I won't ever lack nothing in life, and so that's how it affected me right now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
With the letting go and moving on, what does that look like when you say that? Does it come with a me having a conversation and releasing how I feel and moving forward, or does it come with me brushing things up on the rug and moving forward without acknowledgement? What does letting go and moving forward look like coming from you?
You definitely got to have that conversation. It's so important to have it. And I'm speaking from experience with my mother and my father. You know, I like I said, I have grown so much with them, but at the same time, I had to. At first, I was trying to force it, like trying to help them to see it my way or trying to do those things. But, I had to love them through that experience. And when I let go, like stop putting expectations on it, that's when they eventually came around or that's when our relationship got better. So
Mhm.
that's what I mean by letting go. You got to express yourself because no one can, I mean, we can kind of feel feelings, but we don't really know to the details. So you got to express yourself in a respectful manner, but at the same time when you express yourself you got to let it got to be up to them if they gonna um respect or make that decision, because at the end of the day you did your part, now it's up to them to do their part. And if they don't, like I said, you're the people who's supposed to, you're gonna still get that affection or that love, whatever you need from whoever. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. I like that because Um, like I said, when I started doing chain breakers luncheons back in 2021, um, before then, honestly, I struggled within myself thinking that I was the only person who like had these underlying feelings towards my parents as far as what I felt like I lacked or I didn't get or whatever. I had these feelings. And at one point in time, I was afraid to be vocal because I thought that I'm the only person who like thinks that their parents is this or their parents should have did that or whatever the case may be. But once I got into doing the chain breakers and stuff like that, I realized that almost everybody has childhood trauma. Like almost everybody has an issue either with one parent or the other parent or both parents. And you either got stuck in a place where you were just out in the cold trying to survive. Like for me, I always say, and I don't really know how my parents take me saying it, but I always say I wasn't raised.
Right.
I survived. I was put out there to figure things out. And although I know that might not sit well with someone who says, well, I was a parent, I was there, it is my truth of how I saw it because I had a vision in my head of what being raised and feeling protected and all those things felt like, looked like. And so when I didn't get those things, then I just assumed that, okay, this can't be what raising a child looks like. So I need to just, get up and figure this stuff out so that I can survive this period of my life. And once I hit the ground running with that, I just kept running with it. So when it came down to the chain breaker lunch, like I said, my dad was at the first one. And I never intended on it being a releasing of what I felt towards my father or my parents. I was expecting that it was going to be a group thing with my the members of DBE, and we were going to talk about some stuff, but God had other plans. And I remember the next day when my daddy called me, I could feel in my spirit already that he possibly wanted to talk about like that was a little embarrassing or you made me feel like this. And I remember just telling him, I need you to just be a father. And I just need you to understand that I'm trying to heal from a hurt place so that I can move forward. So like where I'm at right now, I don't need I'm sorry. I don't need an explanation of why. Only thing I simply ask is for a conversation just to say that, hey, these things right here shaped who I am as a person, and like you said, it's up to you on whether or not you're going to acknowledge that or not. But it seems like with you having that conversation with your parents, they were able to acknowledge that. But what was during the time frame of feeling like that to getting that acknowledgement of your feelings? What was the struggle? Was there a struggle? And if so, what was the struggle with between you and your parents' relationship?
I'm gonna say this. This year was the first time I was able to hug my mother and feel comfortable.
Mm.
So I just want to let you know it's a journey, but it's been going on since I think like 2020. I think we had our first, maybe 2019, we had our first family talk. And before that time, 2018 is when I really submitted and submerged my life to my higher self, God. And so in that time, God was working on me, and I had to heal, and I'm still healing in childhood trauma, but I had to heal through so much stuff and take accountability and responsibility for so much stuff that I've done that I could have did better and things like that. So in that process, it was just about it was my new way of trusting God because I never trusted God like that before. But at the same time, if I felt led to do something, it literally pushed me to, or God would put me in certain situations so we can have a conversation, or certain things would come up, or certain things would happen, and just those type of things. God putting me in those positions to allow that to happen. But it started with me for sure, like me and God having that one on one, taking our time just to yourself, being bored, what most people say. It took a lot of that, and then just figuring out what and how do God move through me. And my mother went on a cruise, I think in like 2019, and I prayed over her because she don't like the water at all. And she was like, she felt something lifted off her. And I always knew I had some type of ability, but that was with her, just my mother praying, like asking me to pray for her with her, and saying that and confirming that. It just showed me how much influence I have not only on her life, but just how God is moving through me. So for me, it's just
Right.
God for sure. Just taking that time to myself and figuring it out. But at the same time, I was still living with her then, so it was like I had to navigate through so much stuff and just trying to figure. I was trying to figure out then. So like I said, 7, 8 years later, I just felt very comfortable hugging my mother. So it it's still a journey, it's still a process. I don't think it stops for real.
It doesn't. It's a continuation of change. It's
Yeah.
a continuation of elevation. And it's just like I remember one time God spoke to me and I could see a stage. And then you know how when they have like those award ceremonies, you know how the stage is high and they got like 50 steps to lead up to the stage.
Yeah.
Well, he showed me a stage like that, and he told me, Shine, there's no way to get on the stage unless you take the steps.
Wow.
And it stopped me in my steps because you go back to a kid. You remember back when we was kids, we might skip, we might hopscotch, we might jump, we might run fast, but you're missing things along the way.
Right.
So when you're used to hopscotching and playing and jumping over cracks so you don't break your mama back and things like that, you're used to skipping steps. You're used to, trying to rush yourself through the process or whatever. So when he showed me those steps and told me that you have to take every step, you know what I'm saying? Because he told me you don't know what you might miss if you skip over one step, if you jump up 2 steps. So I started becoming real comfortable with the process of change. And you said something else that was very important when you said that I had to sit down with God. And when you said it, you smirked a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Tell me, because I do that too. So tell me what that was in that moment when you said that I had to sit down along with God and you had that little smirk. What was that smirk about?
I still do that to this day as far as sit down with God. I just recently did it. It's amazing how like I said, the evolution of, I would say, me and God, our relationship is growing. For me, it's fun. It just so smooth and it's so unique and really and truly. I tell everybody, like, that's how I am who I am. Nothing can happen. I cannot do nothing that I do without the God that's working through me, because like I said, I wanted to be a professional athlete. That's what really, I devoted my life to being. And you know to be able to be where I am today is like, everything is like a fantasy. It's like a dream. It's like stuff don't even make sense. And a lot of people say, like, when I just came back from Hawaii, a lot of people be like, "How can you do that?" or "What made you do that?" And I'm like, I've been doing this for so long. When you feel led to do something, it's easy, because I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not easy. Don't take that back. It's easier to make that decision because it's been happening for so long. So I like, as much as I've grown over the years, I know it's for a purpose, and I learned everything is about perspective. And you can. It's like what Drake say. We got the same. We in the same seat as somebody, but got different views. It depends on how you look at life. And
Yeah.
I know that I have everything already. So it don't matter where I go. It don't matter what I do. I'm going to be good. And like I said, we here for a short time, just a small fragment in time we here. So I know I gotta live my life how I supposed to live it. And
Mm-hmm.
because at the end of the day, it's me and God whenever it's all said and done. So
That's it.
you know, um, it just it's still fun, and still being able to think back on life and how far I've come. It feels good to me. That's where that smirk comes from.
And I like it because I when I think about him, and it don't take nothing but a split second, it just fills me with joy because if you know where I came from
Yeah.
and what I had to go through to get here to where I get to a place where I do trust him enough to release that pressure off me so that I can smile when it's still heavy because I trust him so much. like I'm just trying to make sure that like I ain't the only one that's crazy. Like I be laughing when I think about his goodness, his grace, and his mercy, and I be like, you know what, you really one cool dude. Like I really appreciate you knowing better than I did. And with that being said, you were saying that like your life was dedicated to the sports and things like that. And tell me how you said now, even like it's like a dream, you can't understand it. Tell me from your vision of what you plan your life out to be to where you are right now.
That's crazy.
Tell me what that does to you.
It finna bring tears to my eyes. One, nah, so just a kid, I started playing sports at 8 years old. My mother put me in sports, and I've been really good all my life in sports, like really good. And years like when I was in middle school, high school, I got injured, so it kind of slowed me down. But I always been the fastest kid. I always been the strongest. I always had a nice physique, how I look. I always been, you know, that was just really good, an athlete. But at the same time, I see myself being, like I said, a professional athlete. I pursued that dream to the hardest. Like I almost passed away three times
Wow.
working out so hard just from preparing for those type of moments of being an athlete. It was like sports or basketball was my guide. Like I live, breathe, sleep, ate. Everything I did was for that. And those time when I was almost had near death experience, I was okay with passing away because I lived the life that I want to live. And in 2022, that was probably my last time chasing that dream. Um, that's when that year we did our first basketball camp. Because it was cool. I didn't go pro, but it was cool. I got everything I wanted. I wanted to go pro, then I wanted to coach. And then I want to have basketball camps. That's what I wanted. That's how my life was planned out. So like early in my years, I got the chance to do multiple basketball camps, four to be exact. I had a chance to coach for the major top schools in the state. I had a chance to coach the top players in the state. So I basically did everything I wanted to do in that lifestyle besides go pro. But I got as good as I wanted to get. I had a pro experience where I got invited to these showcases and things like that. So, I got as close as playing pro as possible without getting paid. But at the same time, I see myself being a pro athlete, coaching, and it's crazy because I did everything that I wanted to do, and it came so easy. Like the coaching job that I had, it was the top school in the state, and I didn't have to apply for the job. The basketball camp, I never, in fact, somebody led me to do their basketball camp. And then, yeah, they asked me to do their basketball camp. And then I did my own basketball camp a year later, and they found me. And then just coaching at these top schools, it was just pretty much everybody finding me. And then me being the basketball trainer, I did that as well. So, I still can go coach at, I ain't gonna say any school, but I still can coach right now. But that's no longer a part of my life. And so my life was all about basketball a few years ago. That's crazy. But 2022 was when I gave it up. I went back and played college ball for my last year, and I still got one more year left. That's crazy. But I went back and played college ball, and it just didn't feel the same no more. I lost that passion, that desire, and God showed me what my real purpose is, and like helping people out as far as changing people's lives, saving them, helping them however I could. That was my real purpose, and that gives you a fulfillment that it ain't nothing in the world can give you that fulfillment when you see somebody's life transfer and you be an influence in their life. So it's like that's what made that. That's when I made that transition really, and I was like, hey, let's really focus and dial in on whatever I'm supposed to be doing with in my purpose. And that's when things started to happen, change.
I like it really do make me smile because it makes me think about the statement that people say you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And so when I think about that, I always think about like me just telling God, like, look, this is what I want you to do. I want this, and he up there like, you might want that, but if it's not what I see for you, it's not what I'm going to give you. And he's so good in that. But sometimes when we don't know that, we'll be upset that
Right.
he didn't see us through our plans. Like nobody told you to come over here and start fumbling around like this. Cause like I said, when I started Chain Breaker Luncheon, this was supposed to be like a one meeting. I just so happened had rented out a building and I was just trying to find something to do with the building because I had canceled my birthday dinner due to a family death. And so I was just like, okay, well, let's just use this building, have a meeting, and then come back later on and have a dinner. But it was so powerful until it was like, no, we got to continue this. But I would say maybe like 6 months into it, I was like, God, ain't nobody told you to be coming and choosing me to hear nobody's story, to try to break no chains. It's like, I wasn't for real. I don't know why you thought I was. But when I tell you where I'm at right now, I'm so grateful for what he did, even down to him sitting me down at the end of 2019 and put it in my head to write a devotional.
Wow.
Because I learned so much in that devotional because I was devoted to researching how I could tie in God's words into real life situations, when I was anxious, when I was having dealing with people who were um copycats. There's all different type of characteristics in my book. There's Xerox Xena. So, it talks about wanting to copy somebody else's life. And in that story, it talks about how this lady is this boss, and then she has a worker who pretty much mimics everything that she does until she brings her in one day and sit down and tell her, like, listen, I used to work for a big company, but I was, um raped and sexually assaulted by these men. It's like she had a story. So it was to break down and say that, like, you want to mimic what you see now, but you don't know what I went through to get here. And so, like, once I tell you my story, do you still want to mimic my journey?
Right. Yeah.
So, and my pastor said it one time that we got to stop looking at other people's races and want to run them because you don't know what they had to, what they had to get through to get there. So with you having the desires to go pro and that not happening, but yet still getting closer, very close to those dreams, tell me how that possibly led up to your brand and you starting BTBY. Tell me how you came about that.
It was about 2018. That's when really everything started. Um, so I just basically dropped out of college. My first time dropping out of college this time. And at this time I was playing basketball, like I said, or playing ball since 8 years old. And um at that time it was my third year in college. So, you know, now my life, my world is, I don't know what to do with life. And at that time, not knowing what to do caused me to really lose my life because I didn't know what to do anymore. Like I just gave up. And so even with me giving up my life, God still allowed me to do a lot of things that I always wanted to do. Just to show me that it's not really what I want to do in a sense. It's pretty cool how that works. But at the same time, it just giving up my life. I say surrendering and just whatever I wanted to do, I had to give it up. And when I was at the gym, like in 2019, I was still going with depression, facing all those things. And, I used to live by a slogan, let's be great. And, I asked myself, what does greatness mean? I just see somebody else rocking in greatness. And I was like, let me rock that. And then one day at the gym, BTBY just came to my head, and it was like, be the best you. That's it. Just be the best you. Don't compare yourself to others. Just be the best you. And so I know that wasn't like this is my brand. Like it was given to me to steward, but it's not mine because I couldn't have thought of that thought. And it helped me to see how much I was living my life for others. It helped me to see how much I was comparing my life and trying to improve or impress or seek validation from others. Like it just that, and still to this day, it helped me to see a version of me where I'm not me. I'm doing this because of somebody else, whether that's, putting on a certain clothes or going to a certain place or trying to, even with basketball, trying to impress coaches and things like that. It's like, no, just be the best you. Like, don't compare yourself to nobody else. So in those moments, that time, it shaped it a lot. And I didn't know BTBY was going to be what it is today. Every single thing that I've been through has added and brought everything to fruition, what it is now. So I had to go through all those moments in life to be where I am. So, it helped me and shape BTBY a lot. And, this summer, I had to I was getting too attached to the brand. I was getting too attached to the business. I was getting too egotistic and prideful about the business. And, I
Mm-hmm.
had to, in a sense, surrender again because I'm like, well, at the same time, this is not even mine. I'm just stewarding for the moment. But, if I gotta let it go, I gotta let it go because maybe it served its purpose, but even if it haven't, it still ain't mine. It's just like I said, it's something that I'm able to steward. So it really, those moments, those times brought up BTBY, and I just wanted to spread the word to be the best you. Don't compare, and it started with like physical fitness. I mean, it started with me being a trainer, but in reality, I always wanted to do what I'm doing now. This was the real message, but my physique, my body, that's what drew people, and it still draws people. But I don't really, I'm not gonna say I don't care about the physical because it is a balance, but I care as much about the mental and the spiritual as I do the physical. So, um, it shaped it a lot, a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. And people don't know how much that ties into like I I watch this show sometimes called Love and Marriage Huntsville. And there's a couple on there and they're physical trainers, but they kind of like always bump ahead because the female in the relationship, like she's, still dealing with hurt and trauma and things like that. So for her, she utilizes the gym to pretty much get off the anxiety and the grief and the things like that she's dealing with. And so what I wanted to do when we were having the mental health teas is to bring in somebody who knows about taking care of the physical being, but also know the importance of the mental aspect because you can be filled with all these things and go there and do 100 push-ups and jump rope and and do all these things. But if you leave out and you still taking out of the gym that mental toll that you went into the gym, then how do you break that cycle? Because like you said, you just build up your physique, but you don't build up your mind. Your mind is still broken. So it's just like you just aired up this broken thing and you a couple of seconds away from floating out from here. You know what I'm saying? Because you look strong, but it's only a larger mass of the bubble of weakness that you really have deep down into you. So, what in your teachings with BTBY do you speak to the importance of not only having your physical aspect intact, but also making sure that your mental and spiritual side is intact? Because I definitely feel like in your mission you try to tie everything into one another. I see that even you've gone out for some of Zach's mental health walks and things like that. So what is the key to what you do as far as tying in the physical, the mental, and the spiritual into your business?
Yeah, so I'm big on purpose, like really big on purpose, and the body, exercising the body, moving the body is so you can be light, so you can fulfill your purpose. And that's what it's about for me. And the spirituality, most people look at it religion and things like that, but spirituality is just breathing. It's the practice of breath or the knowing how to breathe. And so doing these things, if you meditating, you got to know how to breathe. The easiest way for me to do it is tap into my rhythm of my body, knowing how to, I can feel it now, feel my heartbeat. But it's certain breathing exercise you got to do to even go there, and that's how I connect with God, or that's how I quiet my mind, or that's how I shut my mind off. So and then on the mental side, just knowing your thoughts, to be able to dilute your thoughts and know where these thoughts are coming from, because all these thoughts not your thoughts. You got to be able to know which ones to harm in and know which ones to harness out. So, but the body, to put it back in perspective, to know and see where people are in the world, how they see the world. A lot of people care about how they look and how people see them. And
Mhm.
so, I'd use marketing strategies for the body, But in reality, my program is the holistic care, how to heal the body on the spiritual, and the mental, and the physical standpoint, and how to help you create a substantial lifestyle where you don't have to rely on nobody else. Like imagine if everybody had a relationship with God, it won't be no trying to get somebody to do this, or trying to have this intention to do this, or trying to, whatever their hidden motives are, So my whole purpose of this is to let you be the best version of yourself, create your own relationship with your God, whatever you believe in, and take care of your body and live your purpose. Imagine if everybody is living in their purpose. Imagine how much harmony we will be in as a world, a society. But a lot of people are not in harmony with themselves. A lot of people can't sit with themselves. A lot of people don't know how to meditate. A lot of people don't know how to take care of themselves. A lot of people are so programmed in survival mode that it's like you don't even think about these things. And one thing that I had to learn, and I'm still learning. Like this, it was a hard pill for me to swallow yesterday when God gave me this revelation. But I had to learn that I can't save everybody, and I can't help everybody. I'm not here to help everybody, and so that's like one of my biggest lessons. But I do whoever I'm supposed to reach, and I learn. All of my clients and everybody that has ever work with me, they reach out to me. It's nobody that I have to go looking for. It's pretty cool how my life works. I say, God sent me the most beautiful souls in the world, and I mean it in a way where they align with me. It's something that I'm supposed to give them. And imagine if you have a gift and you giving it, that God is working through you to give you a gift or give somebody else a gift. It's just it's a real experience and feeling. So that's how I tie all those three things and aspects on being the best version of yourself, physically and mentally.
Mm-hmm. I definitely feel like with that type of mindset and with that type of spirituality within yourself, it'll take you far. And the reason why I say that is because of a certain level of empathy and compassion that comes along with you building the business that way, which means it's like, okay, you can recognize when somebody shows up on a Saturday or Sunday morning to work out and you can feel the energy is off, so opposed to saying like, that's your issue, just come here, do these moves and get on, go back to the house, you know what I'm saying? It's pulling them people to the side, like, are you okay? You all right? Like I reached out to a friend today and I reached out to, inquire about having a meeting or whatever there in Meridian, but I could feel in her spirit that something was wrong. And so I immediately like, oh, your spirit is giving me this type of energy. And she was like, you're so on point. So therefore for me, at that moment, it was no longer about me calling to inquire about what I was calling for, but to, like I told her, to let her know that you're not alone, that I see you, I hear you, I understand that you're in a place where you are, struggling with things right now. And I feel like that's what everybody needs,
Yeah.
because even sometimes, even though it's your business to promote to be the best of you, it doesn't mean that everyday DJ is gonna wake up his best self. It doesn't mean that DJ is not gonna have days where he needs the encouragement. Just like you came on last Tuesday and were telling Jeremy, and he told you right there that I appreciate that, because being able to be told that continues to fuel my fire to keep going. It keeps my torch lit. And so I definitely feel like the way you brand your business is a good thing, because like you said, you want to not only get the physical aspects of you together, but I also want to focus on your spiritual side and your mental side. What about when you talk about spirituality and opening up and meditation, do you do the chakras and everything like that? Because since I got into Chain Breaker, I kind of got a book and I read up on chakras and stuff like that. And I was kind of interested with it. I was really interested about how it says it translates into your body, like when your throat chakra is clogged up. And I was like, I spent 10 years with that little feeling right there in my throat, like I couldn't hardly swallow. And it was because I wasn't being truthful in my communication and in my speaking. And I feel like in the last 4 years, once I got to the place of being comfortable with telling my truth and moving on forward, it's like that little spotlight lifted. I feel like a good little flow through here.
Yeah.
So what about you?
Yeah. I'm very familiar with the chakras. It's funny because, my whole life I've been in the root chakra, and a lot of us operating in it, but at the same time, you know, I turned it off for a long time because of the way I view the root chakra, and it's there for a reason. It's almost like the pride and ego. You don't abandon your pride and ego completely. You just get it to work towards your will or to God's will. So yeah, I'm very familiar with the chakras. I'm still learning. I'm still remembering, I would say, and I'm still aligning. Um, uh, this is funny. The heart chakra is the green chakra, and a lot of people they see me as green, which I am green a little bit, but at the same time, I've had to realize and know my worth and my value, and it's so important to balance all those chakras because that's when the red chakra come in, or that's when the orange chakra come in. When you got to stand up for yourself because if you're green, which that is the green loving chakra, people will see you and look at you as green, like you are. They'll take advantage of you however you may see fit. But this year has been a lot about me. God been showing me to, I'm not gonna say put myself first, but like value how I feel about things. And
Mhm.
I will say definitely, I'm getting aligned and just being more in tune with these things and trying to keep them all aligned. So yeah, I'm very familiar with the chakras and still learning about them, of course.
Yeah. I was blown away. I mean, some people say, oh, I don't believe in this, I believe in it, but I'm the type of person just like how when you said in the beginning about researching, looking into things, like developing my own mindset about things. When I read it and then I got to the part, and I'm even my chakra book around here somewhere. I got like dream books, all kind of stuff. But when I was reading, so the book that I have, it tells you about, the different chakras. It tells you about when your chakra is balanced, how you behave. It tells you about how if your chakras are overstimulated, understimulated. And I'm telling you, everything that book said,
True.
it was true for me. Like, and even down to last year, I remember going to the chiropractor and they do an x-ray of you and then they show you like in red the parts of your spine that's like off. I'm telling you, every area that deals with something like where stress like hinders you,
Yeah.
that's where I was in the red. I did not know, and I'm not gonna lie to you. I sat in that doctor's appointment and I cried, DJ.
Yeah.
Like I literally cried because for the first time it was a visual of my stored stress, my stored trauma, my stored hurt. It was like the imbalance in my spine, like it was like the way he was talking, I was like, dang. So like I've stored all this stuff within me and it's caused me to have lower back pains and things like that. So, like when they talk about in that church song, shut up in my bones.
Yeah.
It's just like the same way they say that fire can be shut up in your bones, that trauma can be trapped as well within people. And a lot of times people don't understand that trauma can be trapped within you. Um, because I used to think all the time, like, oh my God, this headache must be this and this must be that. And I remember when I first moved here, I transferred my primary doctor. And this lady, when I went to her, she was like reading out the test and she was like, ma'am, there is nothing wrong with you. Like, if anything, you probably just stressing yourself out, but there is nothing physically wrong with you. And literally, besides finding out I had the tumor, in my eye and getting that removed, everything has been like, okay, you think you got something wrong with you, but ain't nothing wrong with you. Like, this is good, this is good, this is good. So, learning how to take that stress off of yourself so that you're not in a space where you feel like you have to compete with everybody around you, that you have to do what validates you to everybody around you. Tell me what that breath of fresh air and fresh mindset is like. And also after you tell me that, tell me about your journey to Hawaii and what did you discover in that trip?
The first thing is freedom. I have my own morals and things that I've lived by and that I have experienced, and I had to realize what's important for me. And freedom is one of my morals that I always have to be free. And you know, freedom it comes with so many different levels, but I would say today is the most free as I ever been. I'd say I haven't had a haircut, haven't had my hair did, really don't buy no clothes, really haven't, it's a different level of I don't care in the sense of you can say whatever you want to say about me. I know who I am. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And, I just say freedom, because if you think about it, we've been programmed to do everything for somebody else for so long. And so just to have this amount of freedom for me is so liberating. Like I don't have to do nothing for real. Like if I want to do, I can do it. It ain't no obligation to do it. And if I don't want to do it, I don't have to do it. If I do want to do it, I can. But it's so important because going to Hawaii, talking about Hawaii, that's what led me to Hawaii. And that's what, in reality, everything that I do, people think I'm an extrovert, right? I know
Mhm.
how to be an extrovert, but I'm a really introvert. I just know how to be an extrovert. I can talk to whoever because I see myself as everybody. So if I gotta go speak at an event, to make myself look whatever, I will, But in reality, I'd rather probably be at home learning something about myself. So to put it all in perspective, if I didn't have this level of freedom, no way I could have went to Hawaii. And everything I do is I'm intentional about everything. It ain't nothing that I do that ain't intentional. I think probably like 7 years, not just saying, but I think ahead of time. I think way ahead of time. And I just play certain things out. Sometimes I do have a gift to be able to foresee things before it happen, but at the same time, everything I do is with an intention. And um Hawaii was one of those things that I already seen what was gonna happen. I just didn't want to go through it and deal with it. And in November this last year, I had a talk with my parents, and I told them I was like, something big is going to happen. I don't know what it is, but I can feel it. And we talked for about an hour or two to my mother and my dad and my stepdad, and my sister. For the most part, I didn't know what was going to happen. I just felt like something was going to happen. I had a great conversation with them on why they live the way they live and things like that. And they just told me it was their parents. Their parents showed them this way, and this is the way their parents live, and this is what they always known. And so before I moved to Hawaii, that it was led for me to talk to them. And it was so important for me to do that because the next month or the end of next month, it was, I felt Hawaii. And I really didn't know Hawaii in my mind. I remember being in the woods, like walking on the trail. And I remember it was being cold outside and the sunlight hit me in my eyes. Like it was a glare from the sun hit me in my eyes. And it took me to Hawaii. Like I immediately went to Hawaii. It was crazy. But for the most part, I knew then go to Hawaii. I didn't know why I had to go to Hawaii. I didn't even know the purpose. I just knew to go to Hawaii. So I had to imagine I had to tell your people. Imagine that you've been working out certain people for so long. Imagine you've been doing this in the community. You got to up and leave. And, that's that freedom. You can't be attached to nothing. You got to be ready to go whenever it's time to go. And, you know, that's what really led me to Hawaii. And that's what freedom is because you got to really think about it. We can get something and be so attached to it, and we can't move because we so attached to like the future or what can happen. We so attached to what ifs, and we don't ever think about the good what ifs. We just automatically program to think about the bad what ifs. And like I said, when you know that God is with you, it's like don't get me wrong, it's still challenging to do it, but it's like you're gonna be okay. And I like I said, 2018, I was okay because I was okay with anything today. If I was to pass away today, I'm okay. I lived the life that I wanted to live. I did everything I wanted to do, and I'm good. So anything else right now is just bonus. Everybody I meet is a bonus. Everything I do is a bonus. Every breath I breathe is a bonus. So I've been living a bonus life since 2018, and so I couldn't imagine being here right now. You know.
I have to laugh when you say that, DJ, because it's so funny that a lot of the stuff that you say is like stuff that I say too. Like I've been like that. Like if God took me today, I have no complaints about life. Like I feel at peace with where I am. And so when I was getting ready tonight, I was like, well, I'm gonna put on, when we came on, he was like, I like your shirt. And I was telling you this is a shirt for the card game that me and my fiance have together. And so on our shirts, I put a question on the back. And so the question on the back of this one actually says, if life ended for you tomorrow, would you be at peace with where your life is today? And so when you talked about that, being okay, if life ended for me today, like I'm good with that because everything that I'm living in now is bonus for me. And it is a level of healing and opening up that you have to get to see it like that, because a lot of people always feel cheated of time. I was cheated of time. I could have did this, I could have did that, because we're mad that the time wasn't utilized the way that we saw fit, but it was utilized the way that God saw fit for our greater purpose. So now in 21, I might would have sat down and just blame all these things. Oh, whoa, this, whoa, that. Now in 25, I'm actually grateful for everything that I went through, that I survived through, because what is really the complaint if I'm able to sit here right now and tell you that these things happen to me, DJ, but I'm right here right now. You know what I'm saying? And like you said, I'm living in the best moments that I've ever lived in. I have the peace, I have the freedom. I don't feel that choke up around my neck if I decide that, hey, I want to get up and I want to go to Hawaii. Oh man, I can't do that. I can't choose me right now because these people need me. But no, I'm gonna choose me. And if they're really my people, when I come back, they'll be there. Because honestly, when I seen you went to Hawaii, I thought you just moved. I didn't know that it was like this missionary trip. I thought you just had. I was like, I was just about to ask this man to be at this mental health tea. Now he's talking about he in Hawaii. And so I was like, okay, the opportunity is missed. And then look at God. He spin the block and like, no, that wasn't sending DJ forever. I was sending DJ for a purpose, because I need to sit down and have a talk with my son. And I need to take him out of the element where everybody is pulling from him, so that I can pour into him and he can know what his true purpose is. Because um when you said that, when I heard you say that in one of the lives that you all did, I knew that when I did sit down and had a conversation with you, I wanted to bring it up because, again, so many people think because you've arrived at a place that they see as like way up here, that everything is fine. Your problem's gone, you heal, you good to go. And that's not always true. And I have a friend, girl, that this year alone lost her brother, her mother, and she just lost her father like 2 days before Christmas. And I remember when I heard the news about her brother, he didn't live in Meridian. He lived somewhere else. But I remember, like, as I was hearing the news spread, because he died by suicide, something that I heard that really just like throwed me was, I heard somebody say, well, why would he do that? And he had it all.
Mm.
And that bothered me, because money does not define my freedom, my
Right.
peace. It does not define it. And even though I was probably a teenager or whatever, early 20s or something like that, when Robin Williams killed himself, that was a big impact on me, because from a child up until then, I always looked at Robin Williams like as this funny guy. And so coming up, I looked at people who were able to laugh and enjoy themselves. I thought that that was peace, that was happiness. I didn't know that people could be broken and still laugh and smile.
Right.
People could be hurt and still mask it, with a smile. I didn't know that. So when I heard about Robin Williams killing himself, I was like completely mind blown, because I'm just like, what you mean? He
Mm.
can make people laugh. Like, he's always laughing. Where is there a time to be sad? When was he depressed? When? And so until I got from that point to this point, realizing how we mask so much with a smile, and it makes people think like, oh, DJ okay. DJ be there every Saturday, every Sunday, and DJ doing all these things. DJ is okay. Like, he got BTBY. He out here teaching us dance moves. We losing 20 to 30 pounds. But then to hear you say a couple of weeks ago, like, although I had all of this going on, I had to go to Hawaii to discover this new thing that I was missing that I needed to get. So it's just go to speak volume that although it looks like I have it all together, I still was a man searching for my purpose, searching for, what my truth was. And I really liked that when you said that, and like I told you all last week on the call, it's not that many men who are willing to come forth and just say that, like, hey, in my journey, it's been a struggle. In my journey, I needed to take time out to like find out who I was for myself. So tell me about getting to the place of being comfortable, like you said, with just being vocal about how you feel and trusting in your feelings.
It just goes back to what I was saying earlier. I lost my in the sense I gotta stop saying that, but I gave up what I wanted to do in life. And so when that time came, the more I grew in love, the more I realized that we all the same. We all seeking for the same thing. And so I see myself in and I still see myself in a lot of people. So the same struggles that they're dealing with, it's like I see myself that way. So it's like I gotta share it, or if it's put on my heart to do it, I gotta do it. Like I said, I would, and I wanted to do this maybe last year, 2 years ago. I just wanted to be off the grid. I didn't want to do what I'm doing. I did want to just be off the grid, but it's like I learned the power of relationship, and I learned another deeper level of love. And so everything that I do is to help. Like I said, everything is done with intentions. So it's to help. And I know who I am, and I know how people view me in the community or whatever like that. I even know how I look. I know I'm a beautiful man. So it's like I know what all these things coming with, and I know what I was gifted with, whether that's physically, mentally, or spiritually. So it's like just to help so many people. Like for instance, like I would meet God has allowed me to meet a lot of beautiful women mentally and physically. But it's like I meet those women and I let them see that hey, it's men out here that doesn't want those things or don't will do something for you and you don't have to give up nothing. So I do these things intentional so it can plant a seed. It can give them a different mindset, a level of thinking. And I know like the power that I have or I know the influence that I have. I was telling my mother, I was like, I can um I can hurt or I can take advantage of a lot of people. That's just the power that you know you have, but what you choose to do because life is about choices. I just choose to love them because in reality, like I said, I got to sit with myself. Every decision that I make, I know why I'm making it. And if I don't make it for the best decision, I got to sit with myself and live with that. And I don't want to go to sleep having to think about that. I don't want to, have that on my mind all day. If I'm going to do what I'm going to do it the best of my ability and be at peace with the decision I made, not trying to be, egotistic, trying to show somebody up. If I'm showing somebody else up, I'm showing myself up. I'm doing a disservice to myself because, like I said, I see myself as everybody. There ain't no separation when I look at people. It's just we all trying to make it. We all try to figure it out. So that's why I say, we not here for a long time. So it's like when it's all said and done, it's done, and I'm okay with what I did. So at the end of the day, it's just about allowing people to see and using this time to the best of my advantage. I know I'm not gonna be this age. I may always look this way. I don't know. I may keep myself the way I look, but at the same time, I'm not gonna always be this age. And I'm in that time where um, I'm the big brother, I'm the uncle, and I'm the little brother, and I'm the nephew all at the same time. So it's like I know the influence and the impact in this window in time I have while I'm living. In this time and space, I know it's very short, so I gotta, you know, express myself the best way I can to help others. And then, whenever it's that time to be an OG, if I make it to that time, I gotta do what I gotta do at that time as well. So it's just about being intentional and just being able to um, you know, whatever I got to do to share my truth. Because, like I said, believe it or not, we all the same. It's just imagine when you tell your story, all the people that you help. The reason why you're able to help them because they on your wavelength. If you don't
Mhm.
share or your story, or even to how you got to where you are today, you hurting yourself in a sense, but you hurting the next person that's looking up to you. So that's what it's really about for me. I want to have that influence where, it changed somebody's life, and like, that's what it's really about for me.
I like that. Transparency is key. Yeah, I realize that we are definitely in a time now where If you're not willing to be transparent, it's a lot of things that's not going to work for you because you'll spend more time trying to make up who you think the world wants you to be than you do embracing who you really are. And so I realized that once I started healing, I stopped just seeing people for who they were. I started seeing people spiritually. So it's like you could sit here and talk to me in an aggressive way, but I don't see an angry person. I see a broken spirit. It's just about which level of brokenness you are. And so, and that's how I try to deal with people. Now, if you are to a level that I feel like is going to drain me of my power, then I'm okay with disconnecting because I still want to make sure that I protect my peace and I keep my boundaries on protecting my peace as well. So I definitely agree with everything that you're saying. And I also know that even even with the women we talked before about you've been, I would say maybe like the last month, 2 months or whatever, really big on women empowerment. Tell me, what is that mission for you like, and why are you so big on women taking back their power and things like that? Because women, for a woman, they will look at that as kind of like, wait a minute, because men don't be out here telling us, hey, utilize your power. Like, hey, snap back into it. You got more power than you claim. What is that? What is that like for you? Because some men will be like, what in the is he doing? Telling these women who we like to manipulate and do all these things to take back your power. Like, hey, pay attention, he just wants you for that one thing. Take your power back. What's that mission like for you?
Really and truly, that's why I had to go to Hawaii. That was to sit down and figure out what was I was supposed to do. And my journey started based on a woman. Ever since I've been born, my mother, it was me and my mother, and she was a single parent. I seen that struggle. My sister, my cousin, they all went through mental illness based on a man because of a man. Just the hurt I've seen over the years with women dealing with men, and you know, God has shown me a lot. Like I know a lot about women as far as just the power. I don't share too much because I don't want it to get too far gone as far as them not really realizing what I'm talking about. So I try to keep it very simple as possible. But for the most part, if you look at it, how the society is and how men do women and how women been mistreated for years, and just how women still able to overcome, especially I would say the indigenous women. So when you look at all these things and just women still being able to love, women still being able to do what they got to do, women still being able to get up every day, some women got multiple kids and still figure out how to live life, and with the pain they go through, with the, so much things they go through, and then on top of it, them being or women just being so intuitive and so gifted spiritually, and women bring all the babies in. This world would not exist if it wasn't for women. And I always say that if you take away all the women on this earth, if all women extinct, the world is going to extinct probably the next day because all those men are going to kill each other in some way. But if you flip the roles and you take away all men, I feel like the world would still thrive in some type of way. And I'm not trying to get women to hate men. I just want women to realize how much power they have. And um, when you're looking at it from that standpoint, women set the standards in life. And if most women realize they set the standards, if most women realize they have this much power, it will raise the bar. And us men as a whole, we will have to raise the bar. The reason why I get looked at the way I'm looked at is because most men not doing what I'm doing. But imagine if all men was doing what I'm doing. And I don't let these things get to my head. I don't have a big head. For me, this like I gotta use this, like I said, for the best of my ability, like to share what I can share because I know how men work. I mean, I was that guy as far as taking advantage of women, manipulating women. Unconsciously, I didn't know I was doing it, but as I self-reflect and I grew up, I was like, oh snap. And then it's like all of my homeboys, like it was a time in my life, every single thing I did was to get a woman, whether that's going to the club, whether that's playing ball, whether that's shirt up, whatever it was to get a woman and get something from a woman, you know. So now it's like more so of, okay, I lived that life and took advantage of women in the sense, how can I give back to the woman, you know? And so it's more so about just helping them to remember their powers. And I feel like if we help the woman as a collective, you know, the world will shift immediately, because if the woman is taken care of, the kids are taken care of, the kids are raised right. If the women are healed, the kids are healed, you know. And I wholeheartedly know happy wife, happy life. I at first I didn't know that. I didn't know what they mean, but just me being around women, or just me having a space when I was in that sacred space with women, I wanted to do anything and everything for her. So it's like, even, you know, I'm single now, but at the same time, even when I was in that space, I wanted to do whatever I could to help her, or however I could, you know, be in that space. So, you know, I just look at it from that standpoint. If we was to heal women, if we was to help women, if we was to help women to be aware of their power, imagine the world. And, you know, in a sense, I'm still trying to say the world, but at the same time, it's like, this is the direct way how to make that direct impact, you know, for them in the next generation.
I like that.
Yeah.
And I think that I really hate that I'm not gonna be available to come down to the women empowerment, because I really like that idea. And the reason why I like that idea is because for so long, women have been manipulated and torn down by men. And so to me, it's like you going against the masses to say, look, I know that we've manipulated, we've drained y'all, we've overlooked y'all, but I'm here to tell you that, look, if y'all simply were to just set the standards and refuse to allow us to do those things to you, I'm here to go along with it. I prefer it that way. I prefer you to know your strength and let me be there to cater to that, opposed to you sitting down and allow me to run over you. So I think that that speaks volume, because it is something that I like to talk to women about as well, is this understanding that, like, we give life, you know, so we're already powerful within that. So I'm real big on women understanding their power as well, because I feel like the more women that know how powerful they are, the less women there are, you know, sitting around feeling less than or beneath, you know, themselves. Because, baby, there, men can't put babies on, you know what I'm saying? Men can't carry babies. They can't. So that within itself is a power thing, to say that, like, even if these things happen, even if this doesn't work, I still have the ability to create life and put life here and change life. So I really really like that. And I really like your journey to being the best you, and encouraging people to, you know, run your own race, whatever that looks like you said, in the earlier part of the interview, you were saying that I want people to be the best version of themselves, serve God in whatever way that they see fit. And I'm really big on that. I think I said on one of y'all lives that, like, I don't even care for someone to come around and say, well, Shine, are you a Christian or not? I'm a spiritual being. I want to be wherever there is good energy, where there's love, where there's elevation. That's who I am. And in the midst of that, I just tell people how good I feel like God is to me. You know, your way of explaining how good God is to you may be different. I'm not here to judge that. I'm not here to go tit for tat. Well, no, because the God I serve say you got to do it that way. No, as long as you're telling me that, like, I love God, this is the way God moves in my life, that brings a smile to my face, because he just said, go tell my people about me.
Yeah.
He didn't tell us to go and tell them about him and then sit over there and badger them and beat them over the head, because you don't, you ain't laughing when you talk about him, so you can't love him. Oh no, you don't pray to him in the shower like I do, so you can't be talking to him. And that's what I don't like about the putting those stamps on people, to where you are belittling the way they love God and the way God loves them. So I have, even in the way that I love him, and it's to the highest power, I don't like people putting a label on me as far as Christian, because so many people, and especially the older generations, they've already created a box of what that looks like to them. like you need to dress this way, you need to talk this way, you need to look this way. And a few years ago, a pastor asked me, well, what do you think is wrong with the churches these days? I was like, it's too many requirements. You got to meet too many requirements before you even get in the door. I got to already be in repentance. I got to already be there, start dressing right, talking right, walking right, looking right. It's too much. I just need to get up in here, throw my broken soul at the altar, and pray somebody in here love me enough. So just like I told the pastor at the church I just started going to, I want to be where the people are that those too religious, too Christian people don't want to go, because I know I was once there. I was once there needing somebody to come down in the pit and pray me out of here. I was once lost and needed somebody to come into the woods and find me. So if we get so caught up in our religion and saying like, oh, this, and that, then who goes back and say them one sheep, that sheep that I once was?
Yeah.
That God saw fit to come back and rescue. So I'm really big, I'm really, really big on making sure that people understand that I'm more so focused on the spiritual side of people. I'm not here to judge you on how you worship, how you look at things and things like that. Because like I say, like for me, God, my homeboy, like he my best friend. Like we laugh, we talk. He be saying, "Shine, is you serious? So you ain't trusting me right now? So you gonna go do that anyways?" Like that's how he talked to me, and I'm okay with it. I'm comfortable with him setting the record straight. And that's how we stay on, because I know that I can go to him at any time, any given place, talk to him about whatever, however I choose. And he's not going to judge me for that. He's just going to see me through that. And so that is how I discovered BTBY. Being the best version of myself was not trying to be the best version of Shine for others, but being the best version of Shine for myself and where God placed me at. And so it's like when I move around, like you say, I know people judge me. I know people say this and they say that. But at the end of the day, I'm not living for those people. Because what most people don't know is that long time ago, I fell down on my knees and I told God, this is too much for me. I tried it my way. It's too much. I can't get stuff right. I can't. I'm like radio on the field when it comes down to knowing what to do. So I need you to take control of every aspect of my life, my job, my relationship, where I lay my head at, all those things. I don't want to do it if you don't want me to do it. And I have not made any of those choices in the last couple of years, and it's worked out grand for me. So that's why when you said I had to sit along with God and you smirked, I had to sit along with him. I had to cut off phone conversation, people, all that. I had to sit along with him and tell him, you know what, you're the only person who can save me. You're the only person that can put me on the right path. So I gotta stop calling this person and going to sit down with this person. I just need to sit down with you and you just tell me what you want me to do. I throw up my hands. I don't know. I went out there in the woods 5 times and got lost, and it was scary. And then I had to call on you. I had to beg you to come in here, and you didn't came in here, pinch me up by the neck, drag me out. And then what I do? Took off running back in the woods, and you had to come back, pinch me up, drag me out. And so a year and a half ago, he told me, Shine, I keep on bringing you out, and you keep running back. And then I got to turn around, come get you, bring you out, and you keep on running back. So I just want you to know that the only reason why you're stuck in those places is because you keep going back. It's not because I left you there. And when he told me that day riding home, I was like, you know what, you right. So in my mind, I'm on his tail. I'm on his coat pipe. When he move, I move. Just like that. When you move, so like I tell you about time I will hot potato with him. People throw me issues, I throw it on him. These your children. I be telling the Lord, these your children. Look, here you go. Here you go. Get your child. You told me I could give them to you. You need to give them. They disturbing my peace. Here you go. And that's how I deal with life. That's how I grew into being the best version of myself and discovering my greater, which was your topic. So is there anything else that you would like to leave as far as your journey and this discovery to get into your greater? Is there any part that was just death defyingly hard for you to endure that you will tell people? Because I love being truthful, DJ, and I tell people all the time when I host my meetings, Healing is not easy.
No.
Like how people think you go to church and you go down to the altar and you say, I confess myself to you, Lord, and I believe that you died upon the cross and you raised in 3 days. And they think that when you leave up out the church, you go home and all your bills paid and your life is grand. You got a BMW and a big house and everything. And it's not the case. Baby,
Yeah.
that's when the devil start come knocking here in your house, kicking over stuff like, oh, you gonna leave me? Oh, you gonna leave me? Oh, you gonna go trust in him? Things start getting wicked.
Yeah.
So tell me about a tough time on your journey. And then tell the people before we leave, how do you face those things and continue to persevere through those things?
I'm gonna go back and just pick up what you were saying. It is every day is a different challenge. It ain't just because you connect, you got a relationship with God, you still got to do the work as far as doing what you're supposed to do or doing what you feel led to do, and then also getting up because sometimes this reminds me when I went to Hawaii and I knew I didn't know what to do. In the first 3 days, I worked. But before I got there, I felt I was there to rest, and I was working, I was in survival mode trying to figure it out. And I had an accident, but it was the best thing that happened to me there because it slowed me down. And I don't remember how it happened. I know it was supposed to happen. And what happened was when I got up, I was in a whole different reality, but I felt God. And I was excited because of when I was there, I didn't hear nothing. I didn't feel nothing. Nothing was going on. I'm like, okay, I'm way out here. What is going on? And so I had an accident the day before my flight was supposed to leave because I booked a round trip. Um, I booked a round trip for 4 days just because of it was cheaper at the time. So I had a choice in the decision to leave, but when I heard and I felt God speak to me, I was excited again. I was like, yes, and I knew everything was gonna be okay then. But at the same time, silence again. I'm like, oh my God, we back in this mode. So I'm saying all this to say, when God give you a message or when you feel led to do something, you still gotta trust that feeling, regardless of what it look like, and it's every single day. And it's just about my morals and my principles is one of them is being grateful, being in gratitude. It's just like finding things to be grateful for. And one of the biggest things I learned is love. Like I tried to put God in the box. Like that's the worst thing to do is put God in the box. Think about like you think God gonna show up this way. That's the worst thing to do because God is probably not gonna show up that way. Whatever you think about, it's probably not gonna happen. But at the same time, it's just like allowing everything to flow. And that's for me. I've been in the flow in the rhythm of life. So and no one can ever not like no one can tell me that God ain't real because if God ain't real, I'm not real. So it's like everything that I meet, everything that I do, everything that I feel led to do, everything that happens to me is literally God led. And it's literally like a dream a lot of times, it's crazy. It's funny. But I was like floating out my body a few days ago and I had a choice to leave. That was my first time being in that space controllably. I've done it before, but I had a chance to leave. I was like, oh snap. And it just reminded me, brought me back to reality how afraid I am in a sense to walk this life without God. I'm like, I can't do this. But to put it back in perspective, it's so important to not put God in a box, but love unlimitedly. Like that means don't be attached to nothing. And for me, I'm still learning that because I've given up. I feel like I've given up everything as far as loving attached to something and just being able to love freely. I feel like that's when you really can see God in full effect because when I was in Hawaii as well, I had to sleep on the streets, but I seen it before I got there. And I'm like, bro, my first night, I was so mad at God. And before that happened, God showed me how abundant I was, like what abundant really is. Despite you having anything materialistic, God showed me what it was. And, you know, the first night, I didn't see the abundance. Like although it was abundance, I was sitting underneath the stars on the beach. It was scary. It was just very uncomfortable. And then I got up like at 4 o'clock that morning. I couldn't really get sleep, and I started walking to the gym. And I seen a guy on a walker. His leg is swollen. He was homeless as well. And God immediately reminded me the abundance that He just told me how abundant I was. And I was like, oh snap! And then I was reminded how I was able to connect with all the people I was with in Hawaii. I'm like, oh snap! Then I reminded of my health, like being able to do everything I'm doing. I was like, oh snap! Then I reminded of my faith, just being able to do things off the limb. I was like, oh snap! Like so, despite what you have, you still gotta find, what I'm saying, you still gotta find love. You still gotta find gratitude. You still gotta trust God in that process because God's just showing you something else, and you gotta be able to realize like everything is not like it's people look at it as like they're getting tapped by the devil, or they try to look at it like God abandoned them. Because I'm that guy as well. I do that sometimes, but at the same time, it's like when you gotta sit back and realize like you're exactly where you're supposed to be at. And my journey started with numbers. So God would send me numbers all the time to remind me I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be at. And I need it. That's like my confirmation. I need it all the time. Or when someone tell me something that I need to hear, I need like I told my guy last week, like I need those things just as much as I give them. So if I don't get it from somebody else, it'll come through numbers. It'll be a message on my phone. It'll be a message on the through social media. It'll be a message somewhere that I like. Oh snap! I needed that. And so I just say, don't put God in a box. Love unlimitedly, and just be the best you.
Yeah. You cannot put that man in the box because I'm telling you, he'll kick the box. Like, he gonna kick the top off the box. I'm saying he's not gonna allow you to be boxed in. Like he's the one that I serve. That's a whole joke. Like as soon as you said in a box, he was telling me in a box. I'm too big for a box. Like I'm not definitely not staying in the box.
Yeah.
And he told me one day, and I think I might have told you this when we talked on the phone before. I have this door, this little wooden door in my bathroom. It's on the wall. And I remember because like I said, like how you say, he talked to me at these random times. Like if I'm in the shower, driving to work, he just get them rambling. And so I remember when I got out, I looked at that door and I could hear his laughter because he always laughing. And he told me, do you know that I can open up any door that I want, but I'm humble enough to stand outside and knock and see if you will let me in? And I was like, wow,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So it's like that moment right there taught me that if I feel like he's not showing up for me, it's not because he's not showing up for me. It's because I'm not allowing him to. Because he's not an aggressive God.
Yeah.
He's not gonna badger you and beat you over the head to allow him to come in and do these things for you. And
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times we get upset because we think that, oh, well, you can go sit over there in the corner when I ain't talking to you when I don't need you. But when I get down on my luck and I call you, you need to show up right away. And that's not how it is. You know what I'm saying? Because he's like, I could have been protected you. You know what I'm saying? I could have been protected you. I could have been prepared you, but you weren't paying attention. But like you said, he would show me things in numbers. So and even for me, um, he does the same thing for me. So anytime I catch 1111, 222, 234, 555, I always stop in that moment and I ask myself, like, is it something that I've asked him for? Is it something I've been waiting on him to answer for me? And I look at what's going on in that moment as to how he's speaking to me about what I need to do. So that's a whole nother, we go get into spirituality and how we think on it, and we'll be here all night long because when I tell you that's my thing and that's what I live by, I don't care if it's a bird outside the window that he got to talk to me to. I don't care if it's a ride over a bridge. I use everything as a sign that he's speaking to me. And I like that he speaks to me that way because it keeps me focused. Because, like you said, we be looking for him to show up one way. So we look for him to write us a letter, you know what I'm saying? But it might be wrote in the midst of the water on the mirror when you get out the shower. He might be in wrote your message there, and you get up out the shower and get the cleaning the mirror. I was talking about I got to see, and his message was there all along because you expected to get out the shower, drive, get clothes, and go to the mailbox, and your answer is there. And he like, no, you just erased my message on the mirror.
Yeah.
Like you ain't even have to leave out the house. You ain't even have to get dressed to come get the answer. I wrote it right there on the mirror. But you was trying to get to the mailbox. So it's those conversations I love. So yeah, like I said, that'll take me a whole nother place, and this will be a whole nother hour of conversation. So we're gonna have to revisit that. But I'm definitely glad to have had you on. Like I said, those were some things that I definitely wanted to talk to you about was your drive for the women empowerment, what you discovered in going to Hawaii. Because like I said, that was something that I heard you say that was profound for me because, you know, like I say, when you start businesses and things like that, people think it's because you've arrived to this place where you got everything figured out. And the transparency and the truth of the matter is that people don't always have it figured out.
Right.
But it's about the willingness, like how you talked this week about the intention, and last week Jeremy talked about the willingness. It's about the willingness to be intentional
Yeah, that's
about how you want your life to be. And if you're not willing to be intentional about creating a good life for yourself, you really should not be out here complaining about it.
right.
You really shouldn't be out here because what are you putting forth into it?
Right.
What is your perspective of what you're trying to get out of what you're showing people? So you definitely have to show up with the right perspective. You definitely have to have the right mindset and be in the right spirit to do what you do, to go out here and mingle with other people. Like I told you when I first started my group and we got out into community, my main focus for doing Chainbreaker was because I didn't want to run into a 6-year-old broken shine
Mm.
and tell her the wrong thing. I didn't want to mislead a child because I was still hurt, because I didn't still have the answer. So for me, that is what pushed me to do the work, to be the best version of myself so that when I have to face an old version of myself, I don't have to face her with the same old broken rules that I had for us before. And so that's very, very powerful. And like I said, I've enjoyed having this conversation with you. I'm definitely ready to get it cut down and get it posted and things like that, so we can have it to just be inspired by. Because I'm definitely inspired by your mission. And even though I didn't get the chance to have you be a part of one of the mental health tea parties, I'm still grateful to be in this moment to hear your story now. And like I said, I think it's powerful. I think that it's powerful that you're standing up against the masses. Especially when it's so easy to fall in.
Yeah.
I just say continue to stand out and continue to be bold when you said that I don't care about what others say about me. It goes back to what I told you that night that we talked about on the phone when I started my healing journey. I told God, visually put me in a place to where I could be judged, talked about all my flaws. If they don't like my big forehead, if they don't like the color of my skin, they don't like the old scar wound from a dog. If all those things put me in a circle where I could be judged for all those things and they not even tarnish my heart, they don't even break my spirit, then that's when I know I've arrived to that healing place. That's when I know I've gotten to my greater. So before we go, with you going into your greater, if you have not arrived there, what is the feeling you're expecting when you do? And if you have arrived there, what was the feeling that you got when you arrived?
Oh, I think I'm here, but at the same time, God has blown my mind so much this year. I thought I was there last year, and I thought I was there before that, and it just keep expanding. But right now, it's definitely the feeling of, like I said, gratitude and being able to detach from life. This is a cool story, but at the same time, it hurts me to think about it. Just probably a month ago. I learn a lot about myself through the people I meet and see if I'm really growing or not, especially the woman that I'm getting sharing that sacred space with. And I met the woman that I visualized, right? I met her and we had a conversation. The second night talking to her, I felt led to let her go. Right. And I'm like, what? And it's just about really trusting that feeling. I felt led to let her go. And even in that moment, I had to let her go because I got to do what I feel led to do. And she was cool with it. Normally, most women are cool with it. But fast forward, I maybe reached back out to her like a week before I reached out to her, though. I seen a crane and it flew and it made a noise at nighttime. That's super rare. So it was for me, it was confirmation to reach out to her. Probably like 2 weeks later, right? I seen that crane again and it flew the opposite way, and it was time to let her go. And I felt that I was gonna have to let her go. Long story short, we wound up stop talking. Nothing bad or nothing like that. It was just not meant. But the thing I'm trying to get to is sometimes, you know, we want certain things and we God will give it to us, but it's like sometimes it's not time, or sometimes it's not right for us, or sometimes whatever the case may be, it just may not be it. And the thing about life is, and what I learned is, you always got to know you exactly where you're supposed to be at. And so my greater is being in this moment, present time right now. This is the right now in this moment that I have, this present time at at 8:37, I'm right where I'm supposed to be at. And so, giving myself grace, I have to constantly be reminded. And I have to remind myself all the time that don't be too hard on yourself. You right where you're supposed to be at. So that's why I say this is my greater right here, being in this present moment, this present time. And where I know I continue to evolve, but at the same time, it's like just staying in the moment all the time is my greater. This is the time that I have to do what I got to do, whether that's learning, whether that's speaking, whether that's teaching, whether that's, doing exercise classes, whether that's whatever it may be. This is my greater in this present divine time.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait until we come back on and do like one big panel, because it's so crazy how you and Jeremy's story, like, I just think that the things that y'all have gone through and how y'all see life, it meshes up, you know what I'm saying, so well. Even like with the conversation and stuff with you saying like whatever I'm supposed to do in this time. And you remember, I don't know if you remember last week when Jeremy was talking and he was like, if you're selfish in this lifetime, you're gonna have to come back and redo it.
Yeah,
Oh,
sure. I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe that for sure.
but if you're selfless, you know what I'm saying, you get to move on, you get to move on and be recreated into something else greater. And that's what it's all about. You even spoke about the dash. We only got that little hyphen in the middle to do what it is that we have to do. And I think that if people start looking at that little hyphen as a sacred space to be in and make the best out of it, then we'll stop wasting time thinking about the negative. Just like I told my fiance, I don't, when the clock strikes 12 and we go into 2026, I don't want to go into 2026 with any hurt, any trauma, any baggage, any of those things, because I truly want to embrace everything that God is doing. Like I said, I took my hands off of things a long time ago, even down to doing this podcast, truth be told. That was not my plan. I've been talking about doing a podcast, but honestly, I've just been doing the chain breakers, with a group of people. And then it started out with one person that I just asked, hey, because I was so interested. I know her in a sense, but I didn't feel like I knew her complete story. And I just was interested in hearing it. And I reached out to her like, do you want to tell your story? I'll do the flyer, I'll do all of this. And it led to that. And today I sat just like how you said, and I was so amazed at him because like right now, the month of January is booked up. So
Wow.
I'm already finding guests for, February, and it was not my plans. And I don't have any intentions for anything. If he tells me after January, okay, you're done, move on to the next
Yeah.
thing. Like you said, I'm okay with detaching because I know that whatever he's doing it for a purpose and with purpose. And I'm okay with him leading me there. But the things that he do, he will blow your mind.
For sure.
I tell people everything that I wrote in my Lisa Frank book when I was a kid, 10 or 15 years old, that man in the last 2 years and whipped around and did it. And
Wow.
in the last 2 years, I've had the most peace. I haven't worked full time. Like, you can't tell me in my spirit I ain't rich, because I'm still figure out how this man didn't let me sit at home for 2 years. For 2 years, and it has not been a lack of nothing. My child's still in gymnastics. My other daughter still do dance. She's still in the band. I ain't out here on no stripper pole. We ain't selling no dope. I ain't on the corner. Like none of that. But he is making it work. And even when I started to get anxiety, because I'm like, Lord, I'm used to working. I ain't used to just sitting around. He was telling me? Well, go on and work if you want to, because I'm making a way for you. If you want to go work, you want to go stretch, take your tail right on over there. And I was like, but I really don't want to. I really don't want to. I'm just saying that's what I'm used to. I'm trying to tell you that my flesh trying to convict me, trying to make me turn away from my faith. That's what I'm trying to tell you, Lord. But I want to trust you. And then he told me, okay, then, well, if you want to trust me, what's stopping you?
Yeah.
And so you know what I did? Got on back off up in my bed, got on this computer and started doing some stuff with my book, with the game, with the truth be told. Like, you know what, Lord, you all right with me.
No, that's how it is.
So when I tell you, I don't go looking to put nothing in place for my life. I let God lead me in everything. And so, like you said, even when people think they may know my life and how my life is maneuvering, you don't know nothing unless you know God. That's the only way you can know what's going on in my life is if you know God, because baby, He is responsible for everything. Anything that you mad at me about in my life, be mad at God, because that's all I did. I told that man, you come in here and do whatever you want to do. So whatever you see going on in my life, that's Him.
Yeah.
If you want to talk about it, talk about it. Get on your knees and tell Him, how dare you? How dare you break that girl down and then build her up so she can get out here and be encouraging to somebody else? We don't need her encouragement. We like being broken. Heal her and tell her to spread the word. You better go talk to him. Don't talk to me. Because I'm outside. Because all he told me to do, Shine, go spread my word. Go tell everybody about my glory. And I will bless you. And when I tell you, he blessed me so good. I ain't had to work full time in 2 years, and you think I'm not about to come back and tell you, DJ, he good. When you were down there on that beach, when you were down there in that valley, you remember when you was walking on that way and God told you to look at that man with that swollen leg. He gonna bless me with something good tomorrow. He gonna bless you with something good tomorrow because what you did, you was obedient. You just came and told, look, when I ain't had nowhere else to go, this man helped me. Yeah. I bought a round trip ticket to Hawaii. I ain't had not one clue why he wanted me to go. I still went, and it worked out for my good. Because if you would have told me that story, I swear to God, I would have thought you got on that plane, you had everything figured out, and the accident was just a freak accident, and you made it back on this side of glory, and bam, here we are.
Yeah.
But because you say, man, I ain't had no clue when I booked that flight. I ain't had no reason what this man was doing. I knew he was up to something, and I wasn't gonna question him, so I went.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it.
So those are the funny stories that I like for people to hear so that they don't look at God as somebody who is so uptight, that he don't laugh, that he don't want you to have joy, that he don't want you to have happiness, that he don't want you to tell people about him. They're like, I'm cool. That's what he be telling me. Tell them folks I'm straight. Like, I be listening. I be showing up. I be riding the die for people. Like, tell them folks I'm not uptight.
Yeah.
And that's why I be spreading this word like that. So again, DJ, I truly appreciate it. I have truly enjoyed this interview. Like I said, I'm gonna cut it short because I could be here all night running my mouth when it come down to things like that, just because that's what means something to me. And I'm on the same wavelength as you. I just want God to use me as a vessel to touch his people. And whoever those people are, I even place those people in his hands to be chosen to reach me or for me to reach them. So I have no expectations of what people are supposed to do for me. And I just ask people not to have no expectations of what I'm supposed to do for them, but just allow God to make it do what it's going to do. Sure. And that's how it is. So give us some closing words to your people. You drop down your names and things like that so I can put it at the end of your video when I edit. And once I get everything edited, I'll send it to you. And I have it posted on my YouTube as well.
Yeah, I want to definitely let me write this down because I want to be super intentional. Like I'm gonna just put this. I'm just gonna put our business. But I want to be super intentional and just tell you, I'm proud of you. Thank you for again for bringing me and having me on. Thank you for accepting the call and living in your truth. I do know how challenging it is and how different it is and how strange it is sometimes. But I appreciate you for living in your truth and expanding. Every day is challenging, I know, but to grow is so uncomfortable, but it's so beautiful once you see the results. But I know it's super uncomfortable. So I appreciate you for, staying true to who you are, regardless of your situation. And, I had to get with you whenever I pop out a few kids. 'Cause I don't know if you know I'm having 10. No, this is that. But now, on the contrary, I think
Friend. You
on the contrary, on the other note, I know it's as a mother, I know it's challenging having to navigate your relationship with God and having to stay in tune with them. So it just for me, it just shows you how powerful, like I said, how powerful y'all are. And you being that example to your kids. I know you know this, but just a reminder that they always watching. So whether you tell them or whether you just doing what you're doing, they see it, and it's building that next generation so they can always say, it's totally different when the kids say, um, my mom and dad, my mom and dad got this, but to be able to see and experience what you're living in, I always say I'm always grateful, but I do know my spirit and who I am is super rare. So, anybody that comes in my presence, and I'm saying this from you, um, your kids being in your presence, they get that gift and that experience to be able to experience you. And when they experience you, it just raises their level of love, and they know what to expect because mama did this and mama didn't do this, and mama allowed this and mama didn't allow this, and mama loved this way. And I seen how God worked through mama. I don't know if you know it's that impact of how much impact you have, but you do have the impact. So I want to say thank you on all those levels. Thank you for being loved. Thank you for, having the courage to have this platform. Thank you for listening to your heart and just having me on. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your vision. And so many things I want to say thank you for, but just thank you for being you. And I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, DJ. I have truly enjoyed it. And just like, Jeremy said last week, things like that just keep, my torch lit. And it's not that I even need any glory for it because it's not the glory is not mine to have because I just asked God to use me. And then this is what he created. So I'm just grateful that he chose me to be a part of the journey so that I can do this cool stuff like listening to stories because this is where my heart is at. And that's what I've been praying for him to do. Just place me in the room where my heart can be joyful and at peace. And that's what he's doing. So I'm definitely grateful that he chose me to utilize to, have this come forth because my ultimate goal is just to see more people healed, is to see more people discover their greater self and be the best version of their self because we only got one life and we only got a little bit of dash to get it done. And so in the dash, I just appreciate everything that you're doing. And I send many blessings unto you and your mission, and especially the women empowerment thing you have coming up in January. Um, because like I said, it's needed. And don't fold because we need you. We need BTBY. Like I said, I'm grateful to have had you on. I definitely look forward to meeting you in person because I haven't got a chance to meet you in person, but I definitely look forward to meeting you in person and definitely be looking for some further contact because I need to get everybody back on a panel together so we could talk about some cool things because, like I said, it's been some good conversations. Like with you talking about, becoming your greater version, Jeremy talking about perseverance. I have a lady that's coming on that's going to be talking about, just going through a period of learning how to accept. And so I think that getting these conversations out there, allowing people to know that you're not alone. That like, hey, I had it all together on the outside and it wasn't all together on the inside. And I had to face these things. I had to go through these uncomfortable situations knowing that I had a bed to lay in Meridian, Mississippi, but I booked a trip to go to Hawaii to be homeless. But it was a humbling experience in it because I said all the time when I came here from to the coast to live here, I lived a 3-bedroom house. I had a living room and a den, a large front yard, a large backyard, and I humbled myself to come here and create a space in my niece's mom's garage.
Wow.
But I wanted that change so bad that I felt like the only way I was going to be fulfilled in it was to do something that was humbling, to do something that was uncomfortable. And I knew that there was something, nobody who would choose to leave a 3-bedroom house to go live in somebody's garage. Like literally in the garage. Like had my stepdaddy come put tarp up over the door and went to Walmart and got a air conditioner that also had a heater on it, put my bed in that garage, and on the other side had a little living room set up because I was so determined. I needed a change. I needed to get away from what I knew. I had lost my niece and I was willing to do it at any cost. And if there was to humble myself and leave what I had already prayed for, because I had already prayed for God, like, I don't care if I got to rent it or own it, but I want my kids to know what it's like to live in a house. I want to have a front yard and a backyard. And then when I got it, it was like, okay, what is it that I thought was gonna come from this vision I had? And so for him to put me in a mindset of, okay, you wanted this so bad, but now you telling me that you're willing to go and live in somebody's garage.
Wow.
And so I humbled myself to do that. And I only had to do that for 30 days.
Wow.
I planned to do it for 6 months. And God said, nope, you're going to do it for 30 days. I came down here in June. By 4th of July, I was turning the key on my own apartment.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he haven't failed me yet, DJ. I've been here since 2018. Last summer, maybe a month or two. I say 1 month. 1 month since I've been here, since 2018, have I worked full-time hours.
Wow. Wow.
I have been taking care of myself and my children since 2018 off of 18 to 30 hours worth of employment. And you can go on my page, you can see that I travel, I take my kids places, I do things. But what you don't need to do is ask me how God made that way. Because I don't even want to know. I don't even want to know. I'm scared if I answer, he might make me have to work harder for it. So I don't even want to know. I just want to say, Lord, thank you.
Yeah.
Because I don't have he made it to where I didn't have to work 40 hours to make something happen. He made it happen. But it came with me trusting in him and saying, I don't know what I'm doing. You do it. And then he showed me that this is why my way was best way all along anyway. But you thought you knew something, so I let you go on out there. And now here you go. Yeah. And now you're going to sit down there and listen to me. Yes. Yes, sir.
That's beautiful.
Yes, sir. I'm going to sit right down. So again, like I said, I appreciate it. I definitely will be following back up with you. Definitely enjoy having you on. I know we went on a little bit longer than I was intended to, but it was great conversation. I love having great conversation, with people, especially when the conversation is enlightened and it can help someone else. So I'm definitely appreciative of it. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. I want you to have a beautiful and blessed night. And since we are on December the 30th, definitely be blessed in the upcoming days as we enter into 2026. I'm praying that God continues to oversee both of our lives, that everything that he plans for us to do, that we will have the ability to do, because we're allowing him to utilize us as a vessel to connect from him to his people. I'm just the man in the middle.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Thank you. I'm telling you, I like it. I ain't gonna lie. I like it, DJ. I like it. I like it. Yes. So be looking forward to getting the video. I'm gonna edit it down, and then once I get done, depending on my app on how long it takes, because I like to make sure it's nice. But once I get it done, I'll definitely be sending it to you, and then I'll also send some clips. If I clip down some stuff, I'll send it to you as well. All right.
Thank you so much. Peace and love to you.
Bye-bye. Peace, love, and blessings. And until next time, I will talk to you later.
Peace.
All right. Bye-bye.